CEO marketing with SEO strategies for business development. CEO marketing is Chief Executive Officer marketing with SEO, which is search engine optimization strategies for business development. That is a big topic on my radar, and I wanted to tackle it because everything that I'm doing, as you've probably noticed by now, everything is all working together for your good, for my good. That's a scripture too. And it's because you're building relationships and you're really building intentions. And we're all business owners, but sometimes we may not be the business owner. We might be the CEO, we might be the founder, we might be someone that is really important to the business but may have a completely different role. So we're going to talk about this today and see how you connect with people, because I've had some experiences myself with CEOs, other founders, other businesses, and the conversations are different from somebody who isn't a business owner and needs help with their business if they're not directly the business owner themselves. So we're going to dive deeper into this today. So welcome, Zach. Welcome, Dr. Fashion. Welcome, Mike. Feel free to put anything in the chat or come up on stage so we can talk and have a great time today. So welcome, Yasmin. Love the surfboard. That's amazing. I wonder where that is. That looks like a very beautiful place. Thank you for being here. And yeah, we'd love to connect. This is a marketing club. Everybody is welcome. I don't know why we have a sticky mic today. So yeah, okay, worked. Perfect. So let me see if you can come up, you raise your hand. We'd love to hear from you. Bruce as well. Thank you for being here. I just requested you to come up, Yasmin. So let me know if you see that. Looking forward to today's call. Today's room is going to be really good. Really, really good. We're going to talk about all this good stuff. Hey, Hussein, welcome. Glad to have you here. As well as you, McDonald and Macru. Sorry, I cannot speak. No problem. I just saw you raise your hand, so I wanted to make sure I attend to you before we start. All right. So, CEO marketing with SEO strategies for business development. This is a topic. Welcome, Matt. And Min as well. You have to think of ways as a CEO to market your business. And SEO is one way to do it, right? It's one big way to do it. I just had a meeting with my team literally just a few minutes ago. We had a full hour team call and we're looking at different strategies and different tasks. And one of the things that I'm just going to bring to you, which is going to be contextual to the topic for today, is I was going through a Google Search Console account and we're posting content from LinkedIn, right? But because this account needed a website, the link was not available on LinkedIn. So, yes, we're driving traffic and we're building awareness, but the link to the website from LinkedIn on LinkedIn as a post was not available on linkedin.com, which is a property. So that required us to now go back and say, okay, go back to the edit articles and edit those articles and add these links. The good thing about blogs is that you can always go back and edit them. The good thing about podcasts is that you can always go back and edit them. The good thing with videos is you can go back and edit them. You can re-upload an episode. Let's say you recorded a podcast episode and you said a few words and you re-uploaded it. People may not even know you re-uploaded an episode, but you know that, right? Welcome, Bianca. Welcome, MG and Mark as well. And Tala Biek. Tala Beck, hope I said it correctly. You have to look at all these things. What's up, Niles? Everybody's coming in. Glad to have you here. Good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. I know we're in a global zone, so I'm excited that we're all here today to talk about this topic. So these are the little things that you have to do as a business to get to that point. Now, this is an SEO strategy I'm giving you for business development. Why? Because if I'm a random person that randomly sees your post on a social media platform, I've never met you before. I've never connected with you before, but now I have access to your content because I have an access to a link. That's a strategy because this link on LinkedIn is going to link me to your website. Someone may see that and not really think about it or think too much on it, but on the back end, on the technical like what's going on under the hood. What's going on is that you're building a relationship between these two properties, your website and the website you're talking to.com, because these websites are properties. They're properties. When you look at your Google search console, it's a property that you're adding. When you're adding it to Google Analytics, it's a property that you have. These are properties. When you think about the word a property, that's an asset. So if you have a website that has a domain, as a CEO, as a business owner, and you have a website that you pay for as a domain on a yearly basis, then wherever you show up on social media, whoever you're giving your account to manage, there should be a link back to your website at any point in time, either through a Pinterest pin that's pinning it back to your website, or through a Facebook post that has a link to your website, or a LinkedIn post that has a link to your website, or a podcast that has in the show notes a link to your website. All these things have a link to your website, and not just your website, to other places on your website. So if you want to really be smart about it, if you look at your home menu tab, let me just put it all together, your navigational tab, you have, let's say, 5 tabs on your website. Now, these 5 tabs could be 5 tags. I'll say that again. These 5 tabs, TABS, could be your 5 tags, TAGS. So what that means is your tabs on your website are tabs that people click through. Not everybody clicks to different tabs on your website. Not everybody clicks on that tab. Someone can click on the home tab, someone can click on the contact tab. So your tab is not guaranteed that it will be clicked, right? But if you have a tag now allows someone to think through that, because it's just natural. Not everybody looks at the menu. Yes, we all look at the menu when we go to a restaurant, but we know what we want to eat. We know what exactly we came to the restaurant for. So when you think about the same psychological framework as a business, as a CEO, as a business owner, there's a way you connect with people, so when they now respond back to your question, it's in form of asking them something in response to the response they are looking for. Now, they're looking for answers. They're looking for suggestions. They're looking for help. They're looking for support. They're looking for who can help me help this solve this problem at this certain time, and you're the person they're coming to. Then there's a way you should be able to respond back, that when you use these tags on social media, it goes back into your profile. If you have a Facebook profile where it says website, put your website. If you have a LinkedIn company profile, put the section that says website. Don't leave it blank. If you have a podcast, there's a section that says website. All these text boxes are not just boxes for storage space. These boxes are for analytics, they're for property asset acquisition, they're for tracking, they're for management, and they're for branding. If we can use these boxes and use them well, which are free, I think we'll be way ahead. But it's like we have those loopholes that kind of keep us in the loop. So I'm really excited about today's topic, and I would love to talk about it. I see there's a question by MG, and I'll come to you on that. Brian, what's going on? What you thinking?
What's up, man? What's up? Damn, dude, what are you on? Like your third cup of coffee? You're like pouring out the gems right now, just in the beginning of this.
We gotta go. We gotta I don't want to waste nobody's time. I want to make sure everybody is on track. They're seeing this and it's active. And CEO marketing is something that it's like a play on words, because everyone says SEO marketing, but why it's called CEO marketing is because I've been doing keyword research. So any room you see me in 2025, I mean, it's been happening, but now more intentionally than ever. Anytime you see a room on Clubhouse that I have, even on a podcast, it's intentional because it's a keyword that has been searched through or is being looked out for. Because I'm not just going to run a room or create a topic that is not being asked or being discussed. So podseo.com is a platform I talked about yesterday. And we tackled email best practices. We tackled email really, really well yesterday, which was really good. And people don't know how to monetize their email list. So we were able to really have about 2.5 hours, close to 2.5 hours. It was 2 hours, 19 minutes, and we really drilled it down, and a lot of people gained a lot of information from there. So today I'm looking at the search volume and I'm like, okay, CEO marketing, that means a lot of CEOs are looking for ways to market. And then I have on Google Alerts SEO, so I get Google Alerts SEO content, and I get to see what's happening in the market, just to understand what's happening, because there's so much going on with SEO that you just cannot know everything in one day. So the more you're able to understand, process, evaluate, test, impact, implement, you can come back and keep doing it. So that's why a lot of CEOs are needing this. On my LinkedIn, I have a lot of seniors and CEOs and founders that are really trying to understand this whole thing called marketing, especially with AI now. So not many people are seeing SEO the way they were, and SEO no longer is search engine optimization, it's search everywhere optimization. There are 46.1 billion searches a day on the web, including Google, including social media. So if you have at least 0.1% of that total volume, you should be okay. But how to get to that is now where it comes down to the search box. The search box. The search box is your friend. They say Google is your best friend. The search box is your best friend, because that best friend will tell you what the best practices are, the best products are, the best tools are, because you're going to find the best products on the market. So as a CEO, your goal is to get your content from the website to the web page. I'll say this again. Your goal is to get your website to the web page. What do I mean by that? You have a website that has links. Not everyone knows each link on your website. So take those links on your website and create it into a web page that each link takes you to a certain destination. So if you have a blog page, if you have a product page, if you have a donation page, if you have an about page, let those pages be seen legibly on a web page, so that if someone is clicking that in your signature, in your email, on your YouTube description box, they can clearly see legibly, if you click this link, it will take you to my contact form. If you click this link, it will take you to my request form. If you click this link, it will take you to my services form. That's how you want to communicate with them, so that when people end up on those pages on your website, which is where you want them to go, now they are in those pages that you actually intended them to be. Because you can't tell everyone, click here, click here, click here. That's going to be a lot of clicking and time wasting. You want to give people the option to choose. The more options people have, the better. That's why Apple, when they release their phones, you don't get two options. I think you get what, four options or five? You get at least more than three. You get at least three to begin with: small, medium, and large. You have something that you can compare, and you can really see which one does better. Why? What looks better? And podcasting is one really good way to do this. So as a CEO, if you're marketing, and let's say you're like bootstrapped and you just want to get this going and you're like, I don't know what to do. One quick way you can do this today, listening to me, is to start going on podcast shows. Start going on podcast shows and start talking to the audiences you want to connect with. Podcasting has changed my life. That's why I'm on Clubhouse. If it wasn't for podcasting, I would not be here, because podcasting is what allowed me to bring myself to Clubhouse, because I thought about, I want to talk live. Where can I talk live? And then I started doing research. Then I saw some about Clubhouse. Then I didn't have access to Clubhouse. So a friend, I put on his story saying, hey, who needs an invite? And that was like, I think it was an hour before the 24-hour mark. So I almost missed it, like 11th hour miracle. Almost missed it. And I was like, yo, what is Clubhouse? And he's like, here's a link. And then I got the link and I was like, okay. Then I couldn't get in. And I was like, okay, I now actually need an invite. Then from nowhere, somebody that I helped like 5 years ago, she got in before me and then invited me and gave me a magic link. And that's how I got into Clubhouse, November 24th, 2020. And I started my podcast August 19th, 2019. August 13th, 2019. August 13th. And from then, it's just been building. So as a CEO, this is my story. I said, I need a way to market to people. How, like, you're literally listening to what I've been thinking through and what I'm living through right now. I said, okay, yeah, I do SEO, I do Pinterest, I build websites. Yeah, that's cool. Everybody does that. But what can I do that is different, that is special, that is unique, that I don't have to force, that is like, it should just work because it's not forced. Like the people coming are the people coming because they're naturally connected, they're naturally inclined. And I was like, podcasting. Hey Shara, welcome. I was like, yeah, podcast. Podcast would be the best way to do this because I was already doing music. So I was like, okay, why not just do podcast? Hey, and do podcast instead of music. So from turning off music to turning on podcast is now a way I can turn back on the music because I can use music in the podcast. So now I'm having access to rankings that now tell me this is what's happening. So when I can look at someone's podcast, I can say, hey, your podcast is ranked at this position because I now understand it. So now as a CEO, I can talk to other CEOs and communicate with them because they know the lingo. I've worked with large corporations, and when I'm talking to the C-suite level, they're not trying to understand what our organic impressions mean. They don't want to know what a backlink is. They don't have time for that. They want to know what is the goal, what is the KPI, what is the metric, what is the value, what is the proposition, what is the factor we're dealing with here, and what are the results? Are we increasing year over year, quarter over quarter, month over month? How are we doing? They're looking for those results, right, Brian?
That's it. That's the bottom line. You know, we as marketers have all of this information and all of these tools and knowledge and experience. Bring it to the table, and all the leadership wants, aka CEO and the C suite team, all they want to see is a return on their investment. That's it. Some of them don't even favor. Some of them don't even care about KPIs or, CAC, cost per acquisition, or how much these ads cost, or how much you're spending, or how much engagement they're getting. Vanity metrics are real turn off to most C-suite level people. They just want to see a return on their investment, and that's the bottom line. The bottom line. So there's a favor. I see a question out in the chat that's really interesting. I guess MG Music has a question for you, and I don't mind answering it. I mean, maybe we can both answer it because this is a thing now that many small business owners, entrepreneurs, small brands, they're building these no-code websites with AI tools. Like I guess MG Music is using one of them, Bolt, Cursor, Lovable. And once these are deployed, they tend to perform poorly with SEO. So I don't know where that comes from. Have you had experience with this favor? I have, and I know why sometimes they may perform poorly with SEO because some of these AI websites, there's two sides to search engine optimization. One is like technical, one is content, and there's a couple of other ones. But the technical and the content are basically the most important, like speed and performance. And many of these AI website builders, like Wix, Durable, they use these clean, lightweight templates, which means it loads really fast, and that's a huge ranking factor on Google. Responsiveness, being mobile, all that good stuff. So, Favor, have you had an experience with these AI created websites and how they affect SEO at all?
I have. I have. I definitely have been looking into them. And great question, MG Music. That was a great question. Welcome, Shara. Glad to have you here. This is a very big question because a lot of people are, I mean, what ChatGPT is here now, and you can just build anything you want and go. But when I look at AI websites, yes, we're getting into a world that AI is dominating. And what I'm seeing is that the same way email is not going anywhere is the same way we're going to have websites that are not going to go anywhere because of the value and the exchange of value that this website has. And when I'm thinking about the value of the website, I'm thinking about the coding because AI websites, like you said, there's some websites that you don't need any code. You can build them, right? They look pretty, they look amazing, they look fancy. But when it now comes to competing with site mapping, when it comes to competing with breadcrumbs and schema markups, and like, let's not even go there. All these things start to happen. Now you're like, okay, I have a website, I have a domain, I have a page, but these things are not integrated. Yes, it's AI related. So somebody might think, oh, yeah, let me build up an AI website so that the AI search engines can find my AI website. But that's the wrong way of doing it because you need to have a structure. All these AI tools we're using, guess what? They're all scraping from web pages that have XML files, expandable markup language. And that's how you get HTML, which is hypertext markup language. So the algorithm scans the expandable markup language to get you one hyperlink. So it's doing the work for you because you're feeding it. You are what you eat. So if you're going into AI websites and building AI websites without the thought of having rich text and context to now start building, because there's some things you're going to start having to do. There's some tracking tools that you might have to install. You might have to connect your website to, Bing. You might have to connect it to Yandex. Maybe some tools may not allow you to do those things. A time is coming that it's going to be very complicated. And we're in Web 2.0 right now. Don't forget there's Web 3. So there's a lot of intellectual property we have to think about when we search our domains, when we look for these things, because we don't want to pay for AI websites that, yes, will give us visibility and traffic if we run ads on them. But when it comes to branding, when it comes to the simple logic of, am I building a business or am I just playing business? That's a real
Yeah.
question, you know?
Yeah, that's so true, man. So true. One thing that comes to my mind with AI, anything AI generated, it looks great on the surface. It's all computer generated. It looks cool on the surface. It's functional. It looks great. It looks sexy. But on the back end, there's no human engagement with that. There's nothing that was created by a human, which makes it just like this robot that stares at you with no soul, right? And the same thing goes for a website. I mean, the content looks great, like you said, Favor. Everything looks good. But if there's no like schema markup, if there's no new content on there, if there's not a human behind it, like, putting content in that's relevant, that the search engines, when they index the site, will pick it up, and it doesn't look like it's AI generated, that's what really matters when you have a website. I noticed that a lot of many AI tools, especially like ChatGPT, you ask it to write an article, and the content is great, but it's thin, right? It's very thin or generic content. It's usually like vague, it's a little bit repetitive, and Google treats that like low quality. And I realize that now because you and I, Favor, been going back and forth with chat. Google just had this algorithm update like on the 26th of March. And a few of my clients had this low quality AI generated content that really harmed them. Most of the keywords that they were ranking for, they no longer rank for, and it has changed their business dramatically. So the story, I mean, the theme of that story is be careful with anything that is AI generated. You always have to put human effort into it. Sure, it's easy to do. Anything AI is easy to do, but put that human element into it to keep it under control. So it's not like this generic, repetitive, vague content or, a vague website. You have to have some human power behind it in order for it to be ranked on Google because Google is beginning to really reject AI anything now.
That's true. Super true. And I found an article just to help us go through this. And if we can look at this article and just read through it, don't don't skim through it. Read through it and take your time. I put the link in the chat. That will help you. That's a WordStream blog talking about SEO trends. And when you talked about March, yeah, I just checked online and I saw that that was an article that was, published. And they talked about some really, really cool things in there for people to see. Because when you start looking at this thing called schema markup, for those who don't know what schema markup is, schema markup language is just another way of saying how in depth and contextual with concisiveness is my content relative to the person searching for it on the other side of the web. So if I'm going to talk about cake baking recipes And maybe I have carrot cake, I have red velvet cake, I have chocolate cake, I have vanilla cake. Especially when it comes to ingredients, products, branding, and measurements, metrics, numbers. Google loves numbers. Search engines love numbers. They work with alphanumeric characters. So when you have numbers, even down to your image file name, you say the image file name is 1080 by 1080 px. Those numbers put you in a category just like that, because if someone's looking for high quality images, the algorithm already knows what a high quality image pixel range looks like. So when you start having all these schema markups, it means that you have rich text information that is just beyond the text, or like bold, italics, underline. There's more context to it, right? There's percentages, there are tables, there are numbers, there are metrics in value of pounds, or in value of ounces, or in value of feet, whatever the metric is, that's going to put you in a certain category. So that schema markup allows you to now be in a much richer section. So when now you ask Alexa or ask Siri for something, you're going to get those specific results. Like right now, there's a podcast that we it was actually surprising to let them know. And they've been doing one about, what, 10 episodes? This is their 10th week. And right now, when I look at all their rankings, because they're in the comedy section, it's called Two Hilarious Church Girls. It's really, really interesting. And they only have about close to 10 episodes. Yeah, 10 episodes. And when I looked at their ranking, because there's a way you can now search for ranking using part SEO, so it gives you a global rank score. And I told them last night, I was like, if you guys didn't know this, after 10 episodes, they're literally ranked at position 44. How do I want to give you like a good percentage so you can see this. So out of 4.4 million podcasts in the world. Yes. Uh-huh. Yes, Bianca. Uh-huh. To hear their church girls, Kim and Nat. Yes. Amazing. You guys should go check out their podcast. Amazing. Right now, their podcast is ranked at the top. Like, if when I did the percentages, I was like, this is top 10%. Listen notes will tell you your score, but you just do the random number. Like, just get a calculator, get your numbers, because they're the top 400,000 out of 4 million. So 4.4 million podcasts that are active. So when you think that, it makes sense, because when you look at their numbers, then Poland, then UK, then Russia, then the US, it just ended up in California yesterday, in San Francisco, then about 20 out of 50 states now. And the SEO is kicking. Every episode is like, it's like an arsenal. Like every it's like a launching pad. Everything you're doing is like Super Bowl. It has to be on point. So every episode is going at its own pace, and the reason why it's really doing so well is because the first thing we did was make sure that all directories are accessible to your RSS feed. Simple. If I have one store and my competitor has 10 stores, who's going to get more leverage and brand equity? The one that has 10 stores. So when you submit your RSS feed to more platforms, you have more leverage, you have more brand equity, you have more exposure, you have more audience, you have more responses. Now they're being listened to on Alexa. Alexa is one of their top three. So people are looking for specific topics, and now I know exactly what they're looking for. So we found some keywords that we're going to implement for their next season, so that they can now double that, because we didn't have content. All we had was an idea, and they like, we wanted to do this podcast. Now it's being done. Now they are ranking up there. So it's a big thing. It's a huge thing. My podcast is in the top 100,000 out of 4.4 million. So I've seen this happen where, as a CEO, as a business, if you just use podcasting as one of your channels, yes, be on YouTube, yes, be on LinkedIn, yes, be on TikTok, but have a home base, because your home is not LinkedIn, your home is not TikTok. We don't know if TikTok is going to be here after April 5th. I got to see on the news, please do your research. Amazon is one of the top bidders now for TikTok. So we don't know what's going to happen, and this is, we're in the second quarter, so we need to buckle up. And we need to see, how can we, as business owners, as brands, as CEOs, as founders, know how to navigate this digital technology world that we are living in, that at some point keeps changing. Like Brian just said it right now. Things are changing. You're gonna get hit with another slam dunk. Oh, Google hit you with another thing, and now they're like, oh, all these things I've been working for, non-existent. That's because you were not able to do the SEO correctly. So if the SEO is done right, and SEO is not something that's is just pasted, because when I hear people say, oh, I've done my SEO, sometimes I'm like, what does that mean? It's like you have to really explain what that means, because there's so many layers to SEO that if you just blanket it as SEO, you might even lose the value of the word SEO because you don't even know the value of what you're talking about. Brian, what do you think?
I lost your audio there for a second. Sorry about that.
Did you guys hear that? Please let me know in the chat if maybe, I don't know. Clubhouse has been having, okay, Unique said yes.
Yeah,
So,
Clubhouse has been going on and off and on and off and on and off. So, what was your question? I'll be glad to answer it.
okay, so everyone heard it. So, okay, I'll
Maybe it was
just,
me.
no worries. So let me just ask you the question this way, just to make it quick. When you think about SEO and the way SEO is plastered around, like the way it's talked about, like, hey, I'll just do your SEO, or oh yeah, my SEO was done, or oh yeah, I'll do SEO after this. The way it's said and the way it's perceived, where do you think we're going?
McDonald's, Mick SEO is what I'm thinking about right now. It's like that's what I'm thinking about. Like SEO Big Mac. You know, everything is just like everyone knows SEO all of a sudden. It just doesn't make any sense. For me as a professional and you as a professional, and we look at this like, wow, this is novice level, stage one. They have no idea. That's my first thought.
Man, you're right. It's sad, but I just wish more people can see it. But at some point, you can't force someone to. You can't. I mean, you can take someone to the water, but you're not going to force them to drink. They have to drink the water that they're looking at. So seeing is believing, and the more you're able to market and connect with people, and they can see it, then it makes more sense. And that's why what I'm noticing SEO is right now, especially with AI, by 2028, 2030, God willing, SEO, I mean, we'll call it SEO, but I have a feeling it's going to be called thought leadership, because there's going to be a lot of brains, AI, robots, human. There's going to be a lot of content out there. And then the craziest thing about this right now, and which is alarming, but some people don't really see it, which is scary too, is when you look at these search engines, right? Not all of them are updated. Not all of them are updated. I was looking at a client's plugin just not too long ago, and I was noticing the two companies that do SEO as plugins on WordPress. One of them was updated an hour ago. The other one was updated a week ago, and I'm like, that's a huge flag. I mean, to someone you'd be like, okay, cool. But to me, like Brand just said, there's a new algorithm update. So if you're working with a plugin that is off, I don't even want to go too deep into that, but you have to make sure that you're looking around and making sure that you're not driving with flat tires. Because at some point that could happen and you'd be like, oh, I didn't know, but it was evident, but you didn't see it. So when you're fixing these things right now, it's a good thing to look at these things and just say, okay, let me just do an audit. Just like you have a health checkup every year, at least once, at least just do an audit on your website. Just see the report. Have you missed any dates? Is anything broken? Is there any protocols that are being missed out? Check it out. There's a website I told people to use yesterday, Digger Tools, Digger.tools. Go to Digger Tools and check your domain and see what's happening there, right? I talked about how TikTok, their domain was registered in 1996, yet I joined TikTok 2016, and now TikTok is, and that was when it was called Musically. So you look at the way people have registered their domains as CEOs. That's a while back, yo.
Let's do a little experiment on search engines. So, everyone in this room right now, put in the chat when I say search engine, what's the first thing you think about? No one's responding because no one's listening. So, Favor, what's the first thing you think about when somebody says, Google? All right, Google, Google, Google. I bet you any money it's Google. There are hundreds of search engines in the world. There's only a handful that hold real market share, right? Of course, Google is the major player. Bing, Yahoo, DuckDuckGo, Yandex, that's still around. Baidu, Ecosia, Brave Search, Naver in South Korea. Naver is like Quant, Mojik. These are all like equivalent to Google in other countries. So when you're optimized for search, it's not just Google. Google dominates everyone's mind, but it's not just for Google. That's something I learned recently, Favor, because when Google did this audit, it completely destroyed about seven of my clients' websites and the keywords that they were tracking for. But it didn't hurt the other websites, which were pretty much, the other search engines, which were pretty much insignificant. But it did do a lot of impact. And Google is the biggest one. But I just wanted to see I just wanted to see when you say search engine, Google is the first thing that comes to your mind. But there are others, there's dozens and dozens more that you have to optimize for.
You're so right. And when you say this, I started smiling because I'm like, out of all this ruckus that's going on in the world with all these algorithm updates, there's one platform that nobody talks about, that never bothers anybody, that's never in the way, but's always there.
Tell me.
Pinterest.
Yeah,
Pinterest.
exactly. How about Swiss Cow? You ever hear of Swiss Cow? Or
Mm-hmm.
Mojik? How about Seznam or Naver? Have you ever heard of those search engines?
Yeah. It,
Are you discoverable on those search engines?
I have, and yes, because and the reason why I have looked at those search engines, and it's not something that you do at one time. And like you said, you recently got to see that. Yandex, I did that about 2 years ago. When you look at Ecosia, Ecosia is a sustainable search engine. They focus on water and sustainability and, charity, making sure that the ocean is also very clean, so that's a whole different thing on its own. So Nirvana as well. That's there too. So when you look at all these platforms, you're also tapping into them also through an RSS feed and also through your website, which is your XML file, you
Yeah,
know?
that's true. That's true. I mean, you don't hear anyone in the UK going, "Hey, why don't you just Mojik that?" Or, South Korea, "Hey, neighbor that. Why don't you just go neighbor that?" Or Baidu that. Everybody's Google, 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 Google. But there's so many other search engines to be optimized for. It's so important. Like one of my clients is international defense, national defense, international defense. They have contracts with the government, and they're always wanting to reach different locations. And you have to know, as a marketing agency, you have to know what search engines that they're going to be searched on. Where they want to dominate. They don't want to dominate Google. I mean, there's other ones that you can be on as well. So it's important to know.
That's true. And Hussein said something very true too. Google changed from a noun to a verb in a blink of an eye, just like Uber. It's even Lyft. You just say things and it's like, huh? This was not a word 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. Now it is. So it's like, how do we normalize these things and also actualize these things when we know and realize that these are the very things people use in the search box to type through? And it's something that if we can communicate, then it's easier for us to get the point across. I just got to learn this the other day. This is super unrelated, and Google this because I'm still learning this. But somebody was talking about lemonade and how, like, when you have like two different types of fruits put together, and that's how you make the lemonade. But when people are making lemonade and people are saying, "Oh, yeah, life gives you lemonade," somebody else said, "We gave lemonade life." Because it wasn't there, but we made it. So I was like, huh, I don't know if that's an April Fool's joke, but it's different. It makes you think a little bit outside the box. So you start thinking in a way that starts changing how things are processed and how we know things. Just like we know some companies. Some companies didn't start the way they are today. Companies started as other things before we know them as they are today. So we just have to think about what way can we use these things to really think about the goal, the structure, the business, and the opportunities that people can grow with. So you think about how you connect with people, and it's through media. Right now, if you have videos on your social media, those videos could live forever on a podcast, on a podcast with the lemonade, with the citrus. You can be on a podcast forever. And that is it's like music, And one thing I'm planning to do, I don't think a lot of podcasters do this. I'm planning to do this. I don't know how, but just curate a playlist of podcast episodes in form of a playlist format, but do it like albums, like do it like music, do it in a way that it's like you got to listen to this section to know about this. So it's like a school. Because my tenure, and I've said this before, by the time the podcast, God willing, is turning 10 years, I want it to be in a school system that they could actually learn from the guests, learn from the concepts, learn from the syllables, learn from back in the day. You know how we used to use textbooks back in the day in school, in the library? Now they can use podcasts to do research and AI to transcribe text. That's where I'm thinking. So if we're putting out content for evergreen content purposes, then as a business, what are we showing people? No one's going to scan through an Instagram post if it's not on a website first. So I believe if we're thinking about our businesses as SEO specialists in our own way, knowing that we know what we want people to search for, then when we now go down to business development, the cycle now starts off with asking ourselves, how do we end up on the search web? Do we actually show up for this result? If we do, what are we showing up as? That's the next question. Oh, we're showing up as this. Okay, this is what we want to be showing up for. So the optimization is not just, oh, we're there. Oh, we can see it. There has to be an elevation. There has to be a repetition. There has to be a modification. And it keeps changing. It's not something you just fix and you just let go. You have to keep doing it. SEO never stops. Just like every day you have to take a shower, every day you have to brush your teeth, every day you have to go to sleep, every day you have to, thank God for life, that you're awake the next day. That is a repetition that happens on a daily schedule. So the way the algorithms are working, the way things are happening is the same way you should also think about your website in the same capacity. It may not be as fast or as recent or as updated, but at least let it not be as dormant, because there has to be a resemblance between how you're showing up online and who you're showing up for. So those things take a while, but it's better to do these things through the process, understand the process, than to just speed the process and then overtake and then crash. And then it's not a good look. So safe, you better be safe than sorry. And it's better to be safe than sorry. So safety first. And safety means you protect your house. If all these algorithms are changing, be on a platform that's a safe house. I always say the safe house for me is Clubhouse, which is a great house, right? And then if I want to now go search engine wise, a safe house is Pinterest, because Pinterest is a place that you never hear on the news. I don't, if you've ever heard anything negative on the news about Pinterest, please let me know. Put it in the chat. I'm sure you've heard about other platforms at Pinterest. Tell me one story, pull it out. I mean, there might be a few, I don't know, but any popular one that you've heard of, please let me know, because Pinterest is known to be a positive platform. Nobody wants to be in a negative mood all day. So Pinterest is where people get lightened up. People go there to feel safe. So when you go there to feel safe, what happens when you feel safe? You feel comfortable. What happens when you feel comfortable? You feel flexible. Now you can do things that you couldn't do because now you can actually stretch. You can actually move around. You can actually do things that mentally you can feel like you're free. That's Pinterest. So when your content is on a platform like Pinterest as a CEO, you're in a safe house, because that safe house now allows you to really surf the web through the web itself, through images, through videos, because you're using a search engine. Search engine optimization starts off with the engine that you optimize, which is a platform that you use. So doing that consistently will definitely help you long term. And thank you for that, Sean. I appreciate you for that feedback. I saw the heart as well. Thank you for that feedback. Shara, we'd love to hear from you. As a CEO, as a business owner, you've done a lot of great things as a business. How would you tell someone that's starting off their business to really do this? And also introduce yourself, let them know if they've never heard from you, and we'd love to hear your story.
Hi, Vera. Just been listening to you and Brian because you guys are the SEO experts. Again, know nothing about SEO. I know what it is now, but I learned about these things pretty late in the game when it came to my business. Hello, everyone. My name is Shara Ruffin. I'm a LinkedIn advisor as well as a coach. I built my bigger business from the ground up 4 years ago from being really stuck, almost evicted from my home with three kids, and I turned my struggle into an eight-figure business in 4 years. Um, no ads, no search engine, just did the groundwork of finding my audience and telling my story on LinkedIn. And I was able to use Clubhouse at that time as a funneling system. Um, where I opened up a study room, my business called Journey to Licensure, where I help my colleagues pass their board exams. And that study room was just a free space that I ran I just actually shut it down in December. I ran it every single Monday for 4 years. It became the launch pad to, at the time, a six-figure business in 7 months by learning how to leverage and build a community base there, and show in real time what I exactly did to help people pass their board exams. The word spread pretty fast. I was on what, three or four different social media channels at the time. LinkedIn was my main base, and Clubhouse was secondary, and then I ended up, when Clubhouse came out with the replays, right after that, because I was one of the first people in Clubhouse when it launched. I started taking the replays and turning them into podcast. That podcast is now at 300 episodes and it's like a money generating engine, because in my niche particularly, there's no one in my niche that captures testimonies in real time, the impact of what I do. So when people hear that, literally it distinguishes me in my market as a thought leader. And from that, I've been able to get a lot of great PR, from LinkedIn News to Success Magazine to Business Insider to USA Today. I can name a whole bunch of them. They're all on my profile. Had a lot of great success, but I did not start out that way. It was just literally me having a problem, struggling to pass a board exam. And I shared that story consistently and it paid off. I'm now at a point in my business that I still don't have any paid ads. My website is still crap. I didn't have an active email list. All the things that you normally would think you should have, I didn't have at all. I had a story, I had a phone, and I had video, and I did the hard work of building it consistently daily. I remember disappearing from TikTok. What TikTok to me doing lives is now the funneling system that I use to generate, even though I disappeared from TikTok, LinkedIn for about a month and a half, and I generated about $50,000 in that 1 month. And that was because I wanted to see what would happen, how strong my brand position was, by just me disappearing. But because I had consistently over, when I mean grinding over, pushing out content, sharing social proof everywhere, and consistently doing that word of mouth. Till this day, that's how I was able to do that. Now, as impressive as that sound, everyone's story to how they get there is going to be very different. Mine, some people can say it's luck. Me, I just did the hard work of grinding, really connecting to my audience, really learning what their pain points were, going to the places of social media that they were in, and with AI now being able to generate based off of those pain points. I have a couple of tricks there that I use where I still don't have to do paid ads traffic because I talk to like 50 to 60 people a month in my niche. So I'm able to have my ear out to the market. Most people that I talk to are like, I don't understand why you still do consults. Well, I'm able to diversify my products of what I do based on what the changes the markets are for my niche particularly. So I'll pause it there. I mean, this is Jeff Favor. This is you and Brian's bag in terms of SEO. I can only share basically how I was able to build what I build from just doing the hard work of actually going out there and doing it consistently, and being at the point that I don't have to show up as much as I don't, if I don't want to. People still search for me. My schedule still is full. Um, so that's where I'm at. And I'll pause.
Thank you so much, Shara. You know what? Your your story is so enlightening, and I just wanted to give you those flowers because you the way you did it is so tactical, but you also used SEO without even realizing it. Because LinkedIn is a strong domain authoritative website that drives traffic, that drives professionalism. So when you meet on LinkedIn, you know that it's at least 50% of the conversation has been, put to the table. Like we know what the agenda of the meeting is because now we have a professional setup that we can use to communicate. So LinkedIn, you definitely rocked it there. Podcast as well, you now took it to the next level because you now added this testimonials. Because when people are watching those videos or they're, checking it in, those platforms are used for private consumption, like Spotify, Apple, YouTube. These are private platforms that people use privately for playlists. If they want to work out, if they want to go to school, if they want to, go to the gym, if they want to work. Some people work with music. I work with music on, so, and I can work without it, but I prefer with music. Some people like jazz, classic, rock music. Some people country. Everyone likes what they like, and using that is a way to at least connect with people that you're building with. So now using a podcast allowed you to have those audio files in MP3 form that people can actually feel connected to you, even though they're not with you presently, but they can feel your energy because of how you left or even kept that room steady with the information that you were trying to let them know about. So just
I
seeing
can
those,
add to that favor.
yeah,
If I can add to that, because I'm just thinking as you were talking, with the podcast specifically, because everything I was doing was in real time. It hit different for a lot of my audience. I had people pass their exams just simply from the podcast alone that I did never even met. And I would capture those and say, "Hey, would you mind doing an interview with me?" And they said, "Sure." And I would capture those. So I'm capturing constant social proof of that. I'm to a point now where I have so many different types of client profiles and situations that I've done. They're now categorized. So when I get colleagues come to me saying, "Hey, I'm a busy parent. Hey, I have a TBI. Hey, I can't pass my exam because I'm blind. I'm deaf. I had a trauma event." I've captured all of those. So when people come to me, it's no longer one of those things where I'm having to fight for, clients. I just say, "Hey, go check out a podcast. Just go, here you go." And from ChatGPT, I now can I can pull those episodes that are now categorized and just pull them and say, "Hey, go check out just go check out the podcast. Click on the PDF Interact profile. Find a situation that you can relate to from multiple people that have passed, that took it several times, to people that took it their first try, to military social workers, to different types of people, older test takers. I had a lady who came in my group. She was blind. I had no idea she was blind. She passed her exam on the first try. Those are things, when people hear stories, they connect to them. And people, I think, are underrated how powerful it is to hear somebody in real time, feel the impact of what you give them. That is gold. And I would have people just give me money right there. Say, "Look, you ain't got to tell me nothing else. I didn't heard this podcast. I'm ready to go. How much is it?" And I let people know I'm not for everybody, but I'm for someone. When people hear that, it knocks everyone else out. I've had people try to copy me. I've had people try, and I had to trademark it recently. I got into a fight with a university about it and a couple other people because they were trying to mimic. That's how powerful my brand got. I actually had a lawyer on another side of the country had to shut someone else down who was driving traffic using my name. It was shut down. So it's so important to make sure that your brand is legally protected. I learned that the hard way. But when people see what you do and it's in impact and they see money, they will go for it. So it's important to trademark everything, including and copywriting things, nonetheless. So it's one of those things I learned a lot backwards, and I just kind of jumped in without knowing anything of what I was doing. A lot of people are asking me, "Hey, do you have a business background?" Nope. I'm a former social worker, as therapist of 20 years. I didn't know anything about running about it, nothing. But I knew my audience. I knew their pain points because their story was my story. And because of the passion I had, it drove it was hard work, hard as hell. I mean, I spent the first 2 years, I was spending hours, missing nights, sleeps, everything, just to really pour in because I believed that what I had was unique. But it wasn't easy. There are times where I was mentally health impacted by it and had to learn how to grow a team, how to delegate. Because when you start as an entrepreneur, you're like, okay, I can do all these things. You cannot. You cannot be everywhere at once. You cannot scale. You cannot grow if you don't have a team around you. And that's something I've had to learn how to do. Because I'm at a point where most people say it's a good problem. There's one me, one me. And there's a lot of need for what I do. So then I'm at that point where I'm now at 4 years going on 5, having to prep for scaling and what that would look like, and which is a good place to be, but it's still a lot of work that has to be done. But the biggest part of the story I just want people to take away from it, Favor always brings me up here. I wasn't expecting you to be up here, but I know now that whenever I come to this room, Favor always pulls me up from the audience when I'm just usually trying to listen. It's important to believe in the thing that you're building. If it's something that's going to, yes, revenue is great, getting money is great, but at the end of the day, when you are gone, you are dust to dust. Is your service that's being provided? Brian, why are you laughing? Is your service going to impact lives? Is it going to be the blueprint that you leave behind? That to me matters more than the money. The revenue is a byproduct of the impact you leave with people. To me, that
Boom.
matters so much more.
Yeah, boom. I was laughing because you're like, I just wanted to listen, and Favorite brought you
I
up.
did. I was just listening, bro.
So I was laughing. So you put a lot. So this is a great story of what's called sweat equity, right? And congratulations for building such a successful business. I mean, it's not often that you hear this, and it's absolutely amazing when I do. I mean, you put a lot of sweat equity in, and word of mouth. You're talking about testimonials, two of the most powerful and underutilized marketing tools, and especially when you don't have like a big budget. You're leveraging your time, your talent, your energy. You're putting it all to this, and most people don't recognize this, right? I mean, big companies have a lot of money to run ads, right? And they're capturing that high intent customer, and they're really not putting any work into it. And that you have someone who is putting a lot of work into it and has become successful as well. So you get like a scale that's kind of balancing because you're putting a lot of sweat equity in, and then you have another person who's putting a lot of money in. But it's awesome to hear what you've done. I mean, I'm checking out your site now, and good stuff, really good stuff. And you're just a really good testament or testimony to the power of word of mouth and testimonials. Very two underutilized marketing techniques that you have just used to crush it. Awesome stuff.
Thank you, Brian. I appreciate it. I'm still trying to figure out. I don't even know how I got here. It literally, when I tell people, when they ask me, I've told this story time and time again, of what I think the changing point for me, really not just not even just talking about the revenue, but the mindset shift that has to happen. I think that's also so important as an entrepreneur. Is something that I didn't feel like I had. And I'll tell you this quick story. I had a guy, his name is Eric Reed. He's popped around a couple of, he was my publisher. And I remember him telling me, Shar, this is a great room and all that you're doing. I did it for 6 months for free. And he's like, what are you doing? I said, I'm just trying to help people fast. He's like, okay, that's cool. It took you about a decade to get this license. I said, yeah. He said, okay, what are you giving this people when they get this license? What happens? They get more money, more career opportunities. He's like, okay, you're leaving money on the table. He's like, you need to be charging like X, Y, and Z, 1,000, $2,000, $3,000. I said, my people can't afford that. He said, no, this has more to do with you and how you see and value yourself than it does with the people you're serving. You have no idea what they will pay. If something you have works, they're going to pay. As soon as I switched that mindset, it took no more than that phone call. I'll never forget it. I give him so much credit for that. I made my first $16,000 the following month. That was August 2021. Um, and I'll never forget that, because it taught me such a lesson about the important part of your mindset and shutting out all the noise. When I tell you guys, like, I literally, all the things that people told me I needed to have, I did not have. Building, starting to think about a website. Now, I'm thinking about that because my website currently is trash. Someone's rebuilding it for me. Knowing about SEO, didn't know a thing about it. Knowing about building brand story, didn't know a thing about it. It was me on LinkedIn, when I didn't pass my exam. I had 30,000 connections at the time, and I shared day in and day out, looking rugged, ragged. Like, people would tune in on LinkedIn just to see what's Shar doing today. What's her cute little son? What are they up to? They would tune in just to see what I was up to. I would share pieces of that journey, and it blew up on LinkedIn. It's still there. You got to dig a little bit for it in the feature section of my profile. But that post literally changed the whole trajectory of what I thought my life was going to be. Going into private practice as a therapist. And I have not even looked at private being a private therapist at this point. I'm totally in a different direction. But when you open your mouth and you share your story and your life lessons and what you pull from those experiences, you don't know who you're going to touch. You don't know who you're going to impact. I had no idea that my life would be what it is now just because I opened my mouth and I said, "Hey, I'm struggling with this. Who else is struggling with this? All right, cool. Let's make a community about it." And it took off in a way I never thought it would. Just won my first business award last year in Manhattan. It's called the Stevie Awards. It's like the Oscar of Business Awards. I beat out 300 people from around the world that had startups. Um, and just to get the Silver Stevie Award. I'm up for the gold this year, so we'll see if I get it. But it was awarded to me because of the podcast, because people could hear those stories, and how I was able to build a community around it, sustain it, and get powerful referrals just because people were hearing about the work that I do and they could hear it. Unlike seeing someone pass their exam or achieve with their pass score. A lot of my colleagues struggle with thinking that they're by themselves when it comes to a board exam. And a lot of people don't know about what social workers go through. I always try to tell them it's similar to a lawyer that needs to pass the bar or a medical provider needed to pass their board exam, and sharing those things of what we go through, especially if they come from certain groups. So I had no idea that what I was doing was not only building a business that was connected to me, but also it's organically changing over time. As I grow, so does the business grows, and that's just one arm of it. On the back end, there's a business story that I could probably easily turn into a course. So capturing the social proof of your business journey, that's also important because you don't know if what you have now is going to, change or over time. We don't know. So it was always very important for me to build the back end of that business story, having all the social proof, all the milestones as I go, because who knows what I could do with that later. Along with LinkedIn, I had a lot of success with LinkedIn, more than I ever thought I would, because I was using LinkedIn in a very unorthodox way that most people would just look at just for um, as a landing page for their resume. I had literally built that LinkedIn brand there. I took a 3-month break off, for the first time ever in 6 years. I've been on LinkedIn for about 14 years. But they recognized me as part of their advisor community to be able to help enhance the platform. Of course, they make you sign an NDA, so you can't talk about what actually happens there. But I can tell you to get recognized by them out of a billion users on the platform. Last summer, I was featured on their homepage, which had 20 million users at the time. I was the first one. They have in Mountain View, California, there is a picture of me right outside of CEO Ryan's office with someone else of all of the members who used LinkedIn in a way that was outside of the orthodox of what LinkedIn was originally known for. It's changed over time, but no matter what the platform is, you can't live on that platform, right? I think it was mentioned by Brian or Favor earlier, it's important to have a place for those people to go. If TikTok goes down, I remember TikTok, Instagram went down, LinkedIn at one point went down. Those are other people's platforms, business, not yours. It's like trying to build your own little playground on someone else's land. You have to have somewhere for those people to go, your own ecosystem that you can control. Because if not, it's social media, it's not yours. So that was another lesson that I learned very quickly of having a place for my people to go, having my own ecosystem and ways to reach those people that I needed to reach. So keeping that in mind, even though I had an email list that's I don't really even use, it's important that when I do consult with people, I'm capturing data, I'm capturing those things so I know how to reach them. But I'll pause there. I could rant all day. So
No, thank you, Shara. We need to hear this, and I feel like these stories are very captivating, and we need to just remind ourselves that these things, like, I mean, let me say it this way: we're on Clubhouse right now, but really, what we do in the back end, the work we do before we come to the app, is really where the grind is. That's really where the work is, and it's interesting for me. For those who don't know, maybe you've never heard this, but and some people they do, some people they don't, but I'm always up at 4 a.m. I'm up at 4 a.m. So between 4 a.m. and 9 a.m., I've done about 80% of the day's work. That's why I'm here at 2 p.m. We're about to close in the next 5 minutes. 2 p.m. Central, doing this just to make sure that we have time to get this done. And I can come and tell you stories. Shah can come and tell you experiences. Brad can come and give you insights that would help you look at things differently. And yes, some businesses right now may not have, the capital to, do all these things, but there are ways you can do it. When you think about millionaires, there's something that I got to see, which was very interesting. And I feel like a lot of people also need to see this too, as a business, or just as a person. When you think about how you connect with people, it's, how they say your network is your net worth. That's a real true thing, because if you have good people that are around you, then you wouldn't have to have a problem about thinking about the money to do the thing that you passionately want to do, like podcasting. You don't need a microphone to start a podcast. You have a phone that has a voice memo that you can use. So there are really no excuses. Even with AI now, I found a really interesting tool that you don't have to even, interestingly, you don't have to, post production for podcasting is now a thing of the past. And that's where a lot of people get stuck at, because they record this thing, they have a lot of ums and ahs, and they don't know what to do. Now there's an AI tool that we use that allows us to just upload your audio as is, and then get the I'll call it the refined version of the raw material, and then we can now post produce it to make sure that it now fits to the sound and style without the ums, ahs, pauses, and all the clicks. So it's like you've saved 3 hours of editing time to 30 minutes of active response time. So these are the things that we're thinking about now that we need to think about in the future. We can't be thinking 2025 with the mentality of 2020, because we have to think beyond what we're doing now and just keep processing. So if you have a business and you're thinking, how am I going to do this? Right? I need a team, like Shara was saying. I need to get a team. I need to know how to facilitate. I can't pay them. What do I do? There are two things you can do. One, you can hire them as interns. I've done this for a client. I've done this for two clients, and these two clients got people on the job immediately. One was in San Antonio, the other one was in New Jersey. And this was so instantaneous that I was like, yeah, Shari, you're right with LinkedIn. It's definitely a game changer, because they were like, we're looking for this person, this person. I said, okay, let's create a job post. In a day, we had about 50 applicants, and then we were able to now categorize them, filter them, get the right person. By the end of the day, that person got hired for $50 an hour, because there was a job that needed to be done by a client, and he needed human resource. He needed people. He needed people who are smarter than him. and he's a 20-year vet in photography, and he's doing so well. So I said, hey, instead of us going to all these places, let's go to where we already exist. Let's go to these places where we already have dominance. So let's go to LinkedIn, and we got that. So if you can pay the person, fine. If you can get them as an intern, fine. But hire interns, hire people that can actually, you can substitute the time that you would be investing yourself into the task, the mundane task that other people could be doing for you, that could give you back time. That way you can scale. And that scaling is something that you can really think about long term as a business owner. So that's one way. Testimonials, right? Like Shara was saying, if you have testimonials in video form, put them up on a podcast. Literally upload the file like you would upload the file to, if you're running ads, upload the file as a podcast. Even if that's the only episode on your show, that could be the one thing that could move the needle. You don't need one, two, three, four hit songs. You just need one that's going to take everything else in your catalog to the next level. So, you know, all rising tides rise all ships, right? So when you think about the way you're going to move in 2025 as a business, start off with being on a podcast, just turning on the microphone, turning on the camera, and saying, hello, my name is, fill in the blank. And that way it helps. My name is Favour Obasi-ike, and I love helping people understand how to do social media and search engine optimization better as a business, because there's so many concepts, there's so many ideas, there's so many formulas, but I like to simplify formulas because I know how complex they are. And that's how I'm able to demystify it by giving you a podcast that you can listen to. So when people listen to it, they don't feel like they're listening to an algebra class. They feel like they're listening to an ABC class talking about algebra. So how you conduct that and how you create that depends highly on how you, as a business, is able to really do these things. Because the last thing I want to do is waste your time telling you about something that is not helping you or helping you understand the little things you can do to change a lot of things that could happen in the future. And it just starts off with this quick task. So I'm excited that we talked about this today, and we really going in to really push this out as a business, as an owner, as a founder, whoever is listening to this. If you're listening and you're thinking about your business and asking yourself, what can I do in 2025? What can I do in 2026, 2027, 2028, 2029, 2030? What can I do in these years that are coming that's going to help my business thrive? If you're thinking of an answer, this is the answer I will tell you. This is what I did for myself, and this is how I got to Clubhouse, and that's why you're listening to this message today. So this is a reality because of the existence of the manifestation that happened at the time I thought about it. Starting a podcast is one of the best investments you can do for yourself and for your next generation. Because imagine if your kids, your grandkids are listening to your episodes, or you could listen to your great grandfathers or great grandmothers' voices, episodes. Imagine how sentimental that is. Now imagine the world listening to you, plus the people that you love listening to you at the same time. That's what moves me. That's why I said, hey, why not start a podcast? I already do music, so why not do a podcast? That's even better because everybody can join the conversation. So it starts off with your intention. Why? Why are you doing this? Yeah, I love SEO. I love doing this. Now I have people we're working with. We're a team of 10, and I don't have to do all the SEO work. I don't have to do all the SEO work. So building into that framework allows me to now become much better in helping more people, because now I can see if they need SEO support, then I can say, hey, I'm going to take it to this person, and this person will handle it, because I know I could trust this person. Just like as a business owner, as a CEO, you have to trust your staff. You have to trust your team. If you don't trust your team, how is your team going to trust you? So, how do you delegate tasks as a business owner that's going to help other people realize that they need your support? Because, yeah, you're hiring them, but they still need your guidance. Just like, yes, the baby can walk, but the baby still needs some food. So, there has to be that resemblance, there has to be that buildup. right? And that's where you have to start thinking as a business. How do you start doing these things? You can't help everybody, but the ones you can, you can. If you can't, you can't. You can't force things out, but you can at least do something. You can pray about it, you can think about it, you can meditate about it, you can focus on those things. And then you're able to now see how this benefits you as a business. Because an SEO strategy for business development in this CEO marketing room is that you as a business has to create the resemblance of creating the intention of building connections with people that actually want to learn from you. And if they're going to learn from you, they're going to learn from you through conversations they're going to have. So, one big way as a business that you have to think about your content is by asking yourself as a business, because this is not a joke, right? This is not a joke. It is a business. It's not a joke. It's a business. So you have to treat it like a business and you have to treat it as a business. Podcasting is not a joke. People think podcasting is a joke. And when money starts coming in, you start realizing, oh, it's not a joke anymore because people are listening, people are learning, people are earning, people are yearning, people are growing because of you. So if you have that responsibility, then there's a way you should be able to show up online. So if you have a business, any business, even if you run more than one business, you might have 3 businesses, 10. If you have a business, as a guest or as a host on a podcast show, whenever you turn on the microphone or turn on the camera, answer questions that people are always asking. And when you can answer those questions in a way that makes you the person of interest, because everybody can answer the same question. What's 2 plus 2? Everyone can say 4, but it's the person who says 4 and how they say 4 is how you're going to connect with that person. So the response is big. So when you answer the question and answer the question about your business that people currently ask the marketplace in form of an audio message, which is a podcast or an audio blog, then you have a website to support it. Because now if you're on Apple, you're on Spotify, you're on iHeartRadio, you're on Pandora, you're on Amazon, you're on all these links and you have a website, SEO wise, that is linking back to your page. That's a great asset. That's a great business because now as a business owner, you can now say, like Shara was saying, listen to episode 21 to talk about this, and I'll listen to minute 10, second 30, and listen through minute 12, second 45. Like you tell them exactly the timestamps that they're going to listen to that episode. Now they're not scrubbing through, they're not rushing you. They're going exactly to that place and they're listening to you like they're actually having a phone call with you. Then you start to really break loose into the market because now you're answering questions that people are currently asking. If I answer your question, I mean, the answer has been given. I can't answer this question twice because the answer has already been given. So when the answer is given and the message is received, the message is clear and the action is taken. So there's a reaction. For every action, there is a reaction. So if you answer questions in form of episodes, in form of blogs, then that's how those blogs really start to really build your attention and retention spans. And that allows you to connect more with people over time. And that gives you a longevity process that really expands your business. And if I was to ask you this, Shara, before we go, if there was one episode or one podcast experience that you had that really made you realize that, yes, this is actually working and it's going to help a lot of people, how did that feel and how did that look like?
I would say because there's as a my mind is going like 1,000 miles per hour as you were talking. I would say when I first launched a podcast in 2023, like I want to say two, not even 2 months later, I had no idea people were actually listening to it. And this woman sent me a Facebook back channel, and she actually got invited to my podcast. Um, and she said, "Hey, you helped me pass my exam." I was like, "Girl, I never met you before." And she was like, "No, I listened to your podcast." and I passed with flying colors. It was my first time. I said, "Word." So I'll never forget her. Her name was Elizabeth, and she's like, "You know what? I'll come up." So she actually, I'm looking back at her testimony now. She found me on the podcast on Amazon. I didn't even know Amazon had a podcast. And she had passed 20 points over the margin, which was unheard of. So she wrote me a whole long letter, sent me a picture, and then she actually came on and did an episode with me, which I was able to turn into a case study. So again, I try to make sure that when people come to me for help, even if they say no right away, that's another thing I would mention. No doesn't always mean no. No means not today. And then you're trying to figure out, well, is it the price too high or whatever? But in the grand scheme of things, having those people are coming to you for help. So having a place for them to go until they're ready. And that's what I've had over the years, people saying no, and then they come back, especially after seeing constant, consistent, in their face social proof. It's like, damn, okay, I'm tired of this pain. I gotta go. So, and when it comes to capturing that social proof, depending on what your audience responds to, people pay for what will work for them, but also connecting it back to stories and podcasting. I didn't think anybody was going to listen to that thing. And I was encouraged to turn all those Clubhouse episodes into a podcast. And I have never looked back. And I thought, hey, who's going to listen to this? And it's been going on 3 years now, but be hitting 300 episodes. And about 10 episodes away. So it's, you don't know until you start. Don't let your cognitive distortions, don't let anyone else tell you that you can't do something. Just go out there and do it. Even if you have doubts, move with the fear, move with the anxiety, and still do it anyway. That's what I would say.
Thank you, Shara. That's beautiful. Yes, you definitely have to do that. And I think that's the beginning of just learning how your business starts to grow, because you have to hit those curves sometimes. It's not every time that it's going to be, gold, or every episode is going to hit. But like you said, the ones that really resonate with people are the ones that really take off and really show themselves that, hey, we have a podcast, we have a place that people can connect with us. And that in itself is a really good way
And I
that
add one
people
more
can.
tip favor, and then I was like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna shut up. I'm
Let's
shut up for real.
let's
Um,
go.
so what I ended up doing is I asked AI to categorize my podcast episodes into categories. As I told you guys before, one of the like always seal the deal for me is I would send them information when they made a consult. There's an automation that would send them the information ahead of time. Of course, you don't have someone to automate this. You can go into ChatGPT and do it yourself. But what I ended up doing, because I had so many episodes based on that person pain point, what they're coming to me with, that's in their qualifying questions, I would ask AI to scan my um podcasts and pull the episodes that would resonate with this person based on what they're telling me before I meet them. So by the time they meet me in consult, it's now like, oh, I'm ready. I read over everything. I'm done. You ain't got to explain nothing, because it saves so much time. But it also preps that person to be excited about speaking with you. That also kind of shortened my consult time. My consult times used to be so long. They're not anymore, because I've gotten used to being able to know the nuances of what my particular audience wants. And if they're coming to me for help, I usually would like to warm them up before they get to me. And using that podcast was a very powerful way of me doing that, because they can listen to those and resonate with whatever case study that they are in, or pain points that are hitting them before they get to me. So I would say, if you do start podcasting, if you haven't already, get a little bit of help, from AI to pull those episodes based on what your clients, um, your prospects are saying, so it can warm them up before they get to you.
Exactly. I think that podcasting piece is the best, because when someone takes that 20, 30 minutes of their own downtime to listen to you, when they have full focus on what their intention is, Then when they get on a call with you, they won't waste your time and you won't waste theirs because everything is focused on the intention of the agenda. So that is super important. And I love that you mentioned that, Shara. It's so good. Podcasting is one thing I believe every business should do. And some companies are doing it, some corporates are doing it, some corporations are doing it too. And there's a lot of exchange, especially when it comes to PR and connections. It's just an easier way to advertise and connect with people as opposed to just showing up on social media only. Social audio is great. And I feel like podcasting is part of social audio. It's just that it's podcasting or broadcasting. So it just depends on how you're able to put it together. This was good. Thank you, Shara, for this insight. And I hope you learned something about CEO marketing today. How do you bootstrap and do things with SEO in mind so that when you have these strategies for business development, you're thinking long term. You're thinking in 6 month scales, 12-month scales, 24-month scales, and doing them in a way that you know that it's not just post that your content is, out there for being out there sake. You have to also have things that are connecting back to your property. Everything we're talking about today is based on property. Property is your website, is your app. It's the place that you connect with people. It's where you have those interactions. So when you're building those things, you have to build them within the confinement of link building. When you think about a house, the reason why a house is because it has rooms, it has spaces, it has walkways. So when you build those pathways on your website, those are things that people can connect with long term. So if that helps you, you can be able to do that and connect the dots. If you need any help, please reach out to me and I'll be able to connect with you so that we can get this done. Thank you so much, Shara. Bianca, appreciate you. Mimi, Richard, Alina, Austin, Gemma, good to have you here. Mr. Chris, Bruce, Carter, CP, the interpreter, and Isan. Thank you so much. I appreciate you all. And I hope you're having a blessed day. And it's also National World Autism Awareness Day. So I also wanted to make sure that you listen to the episode. We had an amazing show with Sonia. It was really, really good. Please listen to the podcast episode. Great episode that you can listen to, tap in, learn from people, and also understand that, the power is in your voice and how you're able to connect with people is how you resonate with them and how they resonate back with you. So, with that said, have a blessed April, have a happy hump day, and I'm going to see you guys in the clubhouse street soon. Take care. You're welcome, Mimi.